This part can be recorded.
Live streaming is on.
Hello, everyone.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Sam has done some amazing work. You're just gonna show us the demo?
Okay. This is the conviction voting demo, and I split up the simulation in many steps, so it is easier to understand what everything does. So the first step is defining the threshold formula, and it is mostly defined by beta and rho parameters. So beta is the maximum amount of funds that you can ask to the pool. I mean, a proposal can only ask for a 20% maximum, but we can set it up to, for example, 45. And rho is the other parameter that is used to fine-tune this formula. So if we change that parameter and run it, we see that instead of 0.2, the maximum is going to be 0.45.
Yeah. Hey, Ravi, can you see his screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's weird. It's not showing it to me. Okay, but keep going.
Okay. And these two graphs are the graphs from the simulation, and they represent how difficult it is to have a proposal.
Sam, sorry. Yeah, Griff, it just went off again. I can't see your screen anymore.
Okay, I share it again.
Yeah, why don't you share it again?
Just one sec. Do you see it now?
Yep.
Great.
Good.
So it relates the share of fund requested. I mean, you can request 20% of the total funds, and how much supply there are of tokens that can be staked. So if there is not much token supply, it is easier than if there is a lot. I mean, the amount of conviction is less in this case, because also there are not that much tokens in order to get that conviction. And again, this other graph is not about the amount of conviction, it's about the share of conviction, which means the amount of conviction divided by the maximum conviction that we can have. They are different things. And here we are comparing the same share of funds requested, but this time instead of with the token supply, with the alpha, which is another parameter that we define for the conviction formula. And we see that in higher alphas, it gets easier when we are requesting not much funds. Okay, this is the formula. So we define those parameters, and we go in the next step. And in the next step, we still have those two parameters, but now we have much more that we can define. They are to define the network. So we can set an initial set of participants. We can create a small community with a lot of proposals and a high initial sentiment. Those are the parameters of the bonding curve that I think that could be set it up in another step, and we run it and we see what it happens. So we get some numbers for the initial reserve, initial funds, initial price, and initial supply. we get this graph that represents the participants and how much they support each other.
So the distance from between the nodes is the amount of support. So the closer they are, the more they support each other.
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that they just represent this way.
Okay. So those are the nodes. So basically, each node, the number of edges that connect to a node is the number of proposals that they support.
No, they are their affinities.
Okay.
In this case, they are just participants and affinities. And in the next graph, they are proposals and if they conflict with each other.
Okay.
And this is the histogram of participants. So we have 4 participants. I'm not sure. 4 participants.
4 participants that have around 10,000, or is it 10,000 tokens? And then 2 participants that have around 20,000 tokens.
Yes, exactly. And the funds requested and the affinities between participants. So we have one proposal that is requesting more than 70K and 3 proposals that are requesting low funds. So we'll see what happens with this proposal and with those ones. So if now we click next, it is going to run the cadCAD simulation. And it takes a little bit. Okay, we have it. So one proposal passes, another proposal passes, very low funds proposal passes too. And I think that the big one, maybe this one, or no, I don't know. We had 6 proposals and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is one that did not pass, and I think that this is the one that was requesting 7Ks. Yeah, because we never had that amount. So everything passed except the big one. And we can define here the exit fee. So the funds increases over time if we set it much higher. And also the alpha can be set so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But with the exit fee, the funds go up. As you can see, the funds goes slowly up, and then the proposal passes. But now there is not much funds for anything else. There are other graphs in the simulation that can be represented in the next step, but it is not yet implemented.
This is amazing. This is so cool.
This really is quite good. Yeah. This is, yeah.
I think that the next steps are to put some descriptions on what
narrative, yeah.
Maybe we can tweak something in the graphs too. But yeah, this is the thing that I have. I think that we can, because this today we don't have so much people in the community call, but I think that we can set up new objectives for the future, having that more clear.
Do you have this all in GitHub? Is that where we should probably organize our work?
Yes, it is in GitHub.
Let's see.
You want to share the repo on the channel, or
It's,
do we have?
I think it's CV demo. I can
Yes, common
put it here.
CV slice demo. CV dot dash demo.
Okay.
It's that
So
one.
how would you, Sam? How would you like to have us help you develop the narrative? Do you want it on? Do you want it on in a Word doc? Do you want it in? I don't know.
It can be
What works best for you?
it can be any way you want.
Okay.
I mean, at the end, I am going to include it here in the HTML.
Okay.
So you can also add the HTML here if you want.
Okay.
But if it is in a Google Doc, it's also easier to
Procreate.
well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. So I will set up a Google Doc. I've been doing a lot of that today.
Okay. And I think that it is better having this split it, right? In many steps.
Yeah.
But
It would be really nice if we could somehow run and then show some graphs that don't rely on cadCAD. Like, so we have this, because we have this space and time where people are waiting for cadCAD to go up. But if we could then show them some graphs that don't require cadCAD, just require JavaScript,
Yeah.
and then they could analyze that, and then when cadCAD's ready, the next button pops up, or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we can work with that too.
Because I mean, as much as I love the ability to adjust in line, I mean, maybe it's like, here's some screens, previous screen, go to adjust the inputs,
Actually, the second, let me check it. The second step, it is very fast to generate. I mean, meanwhile people is analyzing it, the cadCAD can go. So we don't need to look for new graphs. Those are already good ones.
Yeah, exactly. It's just making sure that they have to hit run to see them.
Yeah.
And then the next button comes up when cadCAD's ready.
Exactly.
I think it's fast enough, don't you?
Oh, it's fast enough, but I mean, we have that space, so it's really just controlling the user's flow. Like it's fast enough. Like, why let them? Why make them wait when we can actually just withhold like juicy things for them to look at until they have to wait? That's generally the idea.
Yeah.
So it would be what do you call it? Not, I don't want to say planned obsolescence, but something like scarcity creates value.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's lots of fun little words for that, but.
So how do you see this happening?
Excuse me?
So I mean, I say, Griff, how would you see this? How do you see this happening?
Oh man, I definitely got to give it to Sam on that decision, how he wants us to work. We have this statement of work Google Doc. We have now we have this awesome starting point. I think we need to kind of figure out what models we want to, what graphs we want to show people and how we want to explain them, right? And we're still kind of at that. I still feel like we're at this input output stage where like now we have a proof of concept for the proof of concept, but we really got to build the story. Like,
yeah. Right. And do we also need to potentially give people more detail about outputs?
Oh, we need more detail about inputs and outputs for sure.
Yeah, I feel like as in, the outputs itself. What does it mean? When a graph looks like this versus what it looks like that. So maybe something that is related to the output. I don't know how it works, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some of these outputs we might need to tweak so that they show something else. Like one thing I really would like to see is instead of shared funds requested, it would actually just be a number, right? Like you pick an amount of funds that you have in the DAO, and then instead of shared funds requested, that's like, okay, now it's this much money or that much, like $1,000 request or a $10,000 request.
yeah. Okay.
I will work by pieces, and I think that we can begin with the threshold formula because at the moment you just have two parameters that you don't really understand and two graphs that doesn't explain very much. And I think that we could also put here a graph of how the trigger function is, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
like actually have the trigger function mapped here. Is that what you mean?
Yes, with mathematically and also a plot of the trigger function.
Oh yeah, that would help.
Because I personally think the first two graphs, do they add a whole lot to the user experience or to the user's understanding of the system?
I didn't understand. Can you
Do you
repeat?
think the first two graphs, which are
Yeah.
the heat maps,
Yes.
do they? Yeah, they explain logically how the trigger function is going to change, but that's got mostly to do with the assumptions of the model itself, rather than a useful output for a user. So do you think that it? I mean, we should keep it right now, but just in the long term, do you think it's necessary to have those graphs? Just because it's a lot of information when you go through the.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Actually, the the parameters that I'm interested in
Yeah.
are the parameters that defines the system, which are alpha, beta, rho,
Hmm.
and probably the parameters of the bonding curve, which are
Yeah.
kappa and some more. I mean,
Say theta. Yeah.
kappa and theta, and the exit fee. I mean, those are very, very important parameters that are the ones that the user have control.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I,
Hmm.
I
There's
think
also the same. There's also there's also like B max. I think is the variable in the I guess it's the same as beta, isn't it? It's the percentage of maximum percentage of funds that can be used for a
yes,
particular
yes, this is better.
proposal. That's beta, right? Okay,
Yes.
right, yeah.
So I will differentiate between parameters that can be tweaked and conditions, which are initial participants, initial proposals, initial sentiment, and those things.
Yeah, I mean the participants and proposals and sentiment. That's where cadCAD actually works, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are. I feel like we have to have those in there as well, just because otherwise cadCAD. What you're not really using cadCAD.
Yeah. Yeah. You could just be using basic JavaScript.
But by the way, they can not be inputs. I mean, cadCAD can set them by. I mean, if we are modeling some initial conditions, we can use the parameters that people can actually change for modeling three different communities, and those three different communities have kind of sense. I mean, they have we can have a small community of 5 participants. We can have a big community of 100, and use cadCAD with predefined initial conditions. So we don't have to tweak them, because probably it has not much sense to tweak them because we cannot control them.
Well,
Do
initial participants you can control. Like you can say we're only going to let 20 people buy into the hatch.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But I would agree with proposals and sentiment to some extent. You can't really control those.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could allow them to choose from different models of the sentiment, but that would definitely be somewhere down the road, not in the first couple of versions. Because I do think that it would be nice to allow them to see how the system will work under different assumptions for user engagement, for example, or how sentiment will rise and fall. These other I guess intrinsic metrics, basically. Yeah.
I generally like the idea of choosing a user journey.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's like an advanced button or something where they can see more. But like say maybe we just pick like the most obvious ones like beta and participants and maybe theta, right? We give them those three. And then if they hit advanced, they can start changing the other ones too.
Yeah.
And then because the other ones we still list out, but maybe we just hide the slider,
Yeah.
And then they have like this guided walkthrough. Okay, tweak these things, Okay, now here's what you see. Here's what you see. And then but of course, I mean, why not make them all possible? It's not, if they're there already, it's not hard. The big one that I really want to see up there though is the amount of funds during raised during the hatch.
Is it initial funds?
I think that's the hash rate. I think that might. Yeah, no, that's the initial funds.
Well, I think initial funds is how much money the funding pool has, and initial reserve is how much money the collateral pool has. I think.
Yes.
And
you're right. Yeah.
The initial total is the number that I feel like the user wants to think about. Like, okay, if you raise this much money, for your commons, what's going to happen?
Yeah, we have to set it up as I think that as in a user journey in which you first define your bonding curve, and I mean, I don't know. First, you need the network, and later on, you define your bonding curve, because we need to tell a story. And first, you need a community, and describe what community you have with the initial participants, initial proposals, initial sentiment. Later on, you define your bonding curve with theta, kappa, sell price, and see how it goes. and later on you define the threshold formula and see what proposals passes. Actually, we don't have here anything that uses the threshold formula. I mean, threshold formula is used from the beginning.
It's in the last one too, where the proposals start passing and the amount of funds in the funding pool.
Yeah, it is currently used there, but it is needed from the beginning as it is as it works the code, because we need to have the threshold inside the proposals. So we have this graph and the threshold is already here, but we don't see it and we don't need it either. Maybe we can change that and we define the threshold formula in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
I think that it is important to have steps, and each step represents the step that you are in your community. And I should not begin with I will not begin with the trigger function.
Yeah.
Or yes, I don't know, but
No, I would agree. I think you have it right on. It's like, okay, first figure out your community, and I think that's just initial participants, and then if they click advanced, okay, sentiment, proposals, is affinity is, I guess that's a derivative of sentiment.
I think that it's random.
No,
It's
yeah,
random?
it's I think it's an intrinsic function. Oh no, so the endogenous function. It's an exogenous function. Sorry. Yeah.
Exogenous. Ooh. I
And I
don't know.
was reading it's outside the system, from outside the system, basically.
Okay.
So it's from, it's for the users will have their own behavioral models. I guess.
Each user has their own affinity, or affinities to each proposal and all. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, having community first, and then maybe bonding curve second, and then conviction voting third, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And
that would be the user story, right? User journey would be.
Yeah, and then when they click that last for the conviction voting, then they have some JavaScript pictures that they can play with while cadCAD is loading. And then the next button pops up, and then it shows them the final results of what actually happens.
We can define in the conviction voting step, we can define the trigger formula, and I'm not sure if we could add the Spoonets demo there.
Yeah.
To define how conviction evolves. I don't know.
I mean, that would be pretty cool. That's for sure. Just as an explainer.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet, because I want to use the data that we are already working on.
Yeah, right. And so that would really need to be explained. You could basically do that for every proposal, right? That you could after cadCAD runs, you could kind of spit that out after every proposal. We'd have to add that, right? Like we'd have to add that into the cadCAD model.
I also think that there are online services in which they generate random users, kind of random identity, so we can add a photo and a name to each. That will be fun, right?
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. So a random photo and name for each person and when they voted.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be crazy.
That that would make it more relatable.
What?
Yeah.
I say would make it more relatable.
Yeah.
And we are designing for people and not, faceless systems. So maybe that would be an interesting step in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't know the proposals. If we can get, I don't know. But well, with the people, it's easy.
Proposals will be tough, right? You would have to.
Yeah.
I think you just say proposal 1 and this amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
People can fill in
Yeah.
the gaps.
I mean, unless the only way it makes sense to have these proposals as more specific than proposal 1, 2, 3 is if we actually started the whole thing as taking a use case in mind. So, say if we take Trash Hero for example, then the whole walkthrough from start to finish will have the Trash Hero kind of use case as the guiding light to the whole process. So you get on top and say, hey, this is a sim for Trash Hero. These are these model assumptions. This is what you're trying to do, and yeah.
I mean, we could call it the Ethereum 2.0 Commons, and we could just grab a bunch of names and pictures off of like DevCon or something, and have have everybody's have it be randomly assigning. And it's like, oh, Vitalik voted no against Lighthouse. Oh no.
Why don't we simulate the common stack getting funding or the governance associated with common stack?
Yeah, I mean, you mean like the token engineering commons?
Token engineering commons. It could even be just the development of the common stack itself. So what we're doing right now.
Yeah, but we're not going to do that. That's the thing.
No, as an example.
Yeah.
Not as I mean, it would be cool if we could do it like a real thing, but just you control. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it could give people a vision of what could be or what should be.
Yeah, that would be the dream. I think that people are probably pretty interested in that.
Yeah.
So no random names?
I like random names though. Let's keep it simple at least for first. But I think I think
more the proposals than anything else. The names, yeah, random names, random number photos, yeah.
proposals. Yeah.
I like the proposal number 1 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
Proposal number and the and the price.
Keeping it simple, always a good answer. Okay, so it seems like next steps. I mean, what do you think next steps are, Sam?
At the moment, let's write a little bit about. Let's write it in the document. So we define the steps, what we show in each step, and how do we explain what to. I mean, I think that
breaking it up into screens and doing like some design.
Yeah, I don't know if we can still do it because we first need to better understand a little bit better the simulation. I mean, what those things represent, and we still don't know very well.
Yeah.
For which things?
The edges in
the different outputs.
Yeah. But I think that we don't have to do it perfect. Just begin with the document and we can set up in the document what we would like to see. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we making a new document, or are we going to use the statement of work?
I think that it's better a new document because it's a
Yeah.
And in the document we kind of design what we want to see in each step, and which are the inputs, and how do we explain those inputs, and which are the outputs, and how do we explain them.
Yeah. So I think I started on the first page particularly. If you look at the Google Colab sheet, I have some kind of just primer into what the different inputs are, outputs are, what the stuff on the graph means. I just did a little bit of writing, so maybe that could be a start, and then
Absolutely.
we can continue page by page, and yeah.
Great.
Now that I don't have to go trolling through 45 pages of code. Now that it's all in one place, we should be able to speed up.
Yeah. Let's move that to the document. So it is a good starting point.
Okay. Yeah. So do you want to set up the document? Do you want me to set up the document?
I can set up the document.
Okay.
I'll set it up right now.
All right.
And just make sure it gets shared out there, because I have all the fun stuff.
And when do we define the next meeting? We can.
I am going to be flying next Monday, so I'm basically not very available during Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday are kind of tough days as well because of New Year's.
Well, why don't we just do a check-in via email or on the group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Just on Monday, everyone just checks in what has been done, what hasn't been done. We just have a short paragraph, what things we need to do this week. And yeah, we keep it simple because honestly, the next week or so, it's going to be hard on every front. Work and family, and it's going to be a whole process. So let's just check in by email, and then we can start being more diligent in the New Year's.
Do you mean by Telegram, or do you really mean email?
No, by Telegram. I was thinking.
Okay.
Simple,
Okay.
just have a message and done with it.
Okay, guys. See you next week.
All right. Yeah, I got it. Right.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Yeah.
I need some time. What's this? Man, love, that was so good. It's powerful. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like